You are listening to Let's Talk Trio on podcasts. Keep up with the latest episodes by downloading the Podbean app or stream episodes via our social media accounts. Search for Let's Talk Trio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This episode is sponsored by Student Access. Student Access, the leader in Trio software. Student Access is an online database solution that allows Trio programs to track their students' information, connect with students by text messages, streamline the APR, and work from anywhere, all online, with automatic updates for changes from the Department of Education. Their technical support team includes former Trio staff and has over 50 years of combined experience working with Trio. Make it easier to focus on your priority, the students. For more information and to request a free demo, visit their website at www.studentaccess.com or call them toll-free at 1-800-801-1232. That website again is www.studentaccess.com or 1-800-801-1232. Be sure to share your favorite episodes on your social media by tapping that share button. This is a great way to support the podcast. Now here's your host, Juan Rivas.
Thank you, Amelia, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, listener, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Trio. This is Season 6, Episode 9. I am your host, Juan Rivas. In today's episode, we have Dr. Christopher Baca, who is a program specialist for the Trio Educational Opportunity Center at Eastern New Mexico University-Roswell. Dr. Baca is on the podcast to talk about his educational journey, obtaining a doctoral degree, and working for Trio EOC. So coming up in just a bit, Dr. Christopher Baca. A huge thanks to our sponsors, Angelica Villalpando, Rosario Riley, Dr. Ryan Barone, Dr. Jamie Motley, Dr. Jeff Naputi, Angelica Valdez, Felicia Rivera, Jaded Electronics, TrioJoblist.com, NOSOTROS Education Center, Cambridge Educational Services, CE Tours, and Student Access. Thank you all so much for your continued support of this podcast. You too can be a sponsor of the podcast. Head on over to Patreon and search for Let's Talk Trio. Choose one of 4 patron levels. You can support this podcast for as little as $1 a month. $1 a month goes a long way in supporting this podcast. If you own a business and would like to run an ad on our podcast, send us a message at letstalktrio@gmail.com. Become a supporter with a one-time donation to the podcast PayPal account. Our business handle is at Let's Talk Trio. Any amount is truly appreciated. If you would like to nominate a participant, staff, or alumni to be on the podcast, send us an email at letstalktrio@gmail.com. That email again is letstalktrio@gmail.com. Again, a great episode featuring Dr. Christopher Baca, a program specialist for the Trio Educational Opportunity Centers at Eastern New Mexico University, Roswell. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi, Trio Nation. My guest on the Let's Talk Trio podcast is a program specialist for the Trio Educational Opportunity Centers at Eastern New Mexico University, Roswell. He is a graduate of Eastern New Mexico University in Portales with a bachelor's in religion and religious studies, obtained a master's from the University of the Rockies in psychology and educational leadership, and received his psychology doctorate in educational leadership from the University of Arizona Global Campus. In his free time, my guest enjoys reading and Funko Pop collecting, and his interests are in higher education and helping students find their sense of belonging on campus. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Christopher Baca. Dr. Baca, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It is an honor to have you on here. How are you? And how are things in Roswell? Or do you commute to Roswell, or how does that work?
No, everything's good. It's cold here. It's we're
Definitely.
17 degrees right now. It feels like 2, so yeah.
It is very cold outside.
Yeah. Actually, I work for the Eastern New Mexico University Roswell campus, but I'm stationed in Portales, so I'm in Portales 100% of the time.
Right on.
But I cover from Quay County, Curry County, Roosevelt County, and Lee County. I cover the eastern side of New Mexico for them.
Wonderful. So, you're saying you commute to campus? I mean, that's a from Portales to Roswell. That's about a 30, 45 minute drive, isn't it?
I do that once a month.
Okay.
I'm stationed in Portales. I have my office in the campus here at Eastern and Portales, and then I just from there I travel to Clovis, Tucumcari, Lovington, and cover the areas in between all the areas inside of the state.
Yeah, I once lived on that side of New Mexico, and I know some of those drives are pretty long, aren't they?
The longest one is probably to Tucumcari, and then the one to Lovington can be a little bit long and a little bit boring, a little bit quiet, real nothing around and nothing in between.
Absolutely. So, you work for ENMU Roswell, but stationed in Portales. You must know then the feeling of like when semester starts, or does it feel different working for the Trio Educational Opportunity Centers? Do you feel the semesters, or do you feel like it works a little bit differently with ELC?
Um, I kind of feel the semesters, and I'm there. I work year round. I'm there every day from year round. Everything. Only the holidays I get, whatever campus holidays there are, I take those holidays, and that's about it. Um, the semesters they start. I do help some college students on the local campus in Portales.
Uh-huh.
I try to get what other programs can't get to. I try to kind of help out and kind of pick up between and kind of get what they can't get to, like what Trio SSS can't get to, or if Upward Bound has somebody that's graduated out of their program, they send them to me, and I help them continue on out of the upward after the Upward Bound program.
Wow, that's
Even,
amazing.
even Talent Search sends me a few every once in a while, and I'm get some of the Talent Search students and kind of help them guide them the rest of the way through
That's awesome.
college life.
So at the very beginning of the podcast, you were talking. I was introducing you. Part of your interests are higher education and helping students really see themselves. But also, you do a little bit of Funko Pop collecting. Can you tell us how that interest developed for you?
It started probably when I went into a Goodwill store locally and I found an Undertaker one of the Undertaker from WWE, a Funko Pop, and I started that one. I started looking up values and saw that it was worth over $100. I said, well,
Wow.
I'm gonna start looking around, and I started finding more, and now I've got
Uh-huh.
a whole wall shelf full.
Wow.
And that's not even my Undertaker one was not my prized possession one no more. My prized possession one was an autographed JJ Watt one that I have.
Whoa.
So
So,
yeah.
it would it be fair to say that collecting has become a new hobby of yours, or a hobby that has just developed?
Yeah, it's been a hobby just developed over the years. I mean, I find things sometimes you find them at Goodwill for like $2, $3, and you take them home and they're worth a double that or
Wow.
triple that. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna start looking for these. And sometimes you find them clearance at different stores, and I grab them and get the little Funko app on my phone, and I scan the barcode on the bottom. It tells me their values and what they're selling for on eBay and all that. So
Wow, that's amazing. Tell us a little bit about your interest in studying higher education and student success. How are those two correlate for you, and what does it mean to study that area?
really, really culminated with my dissertation. My dissertation was on using intrusive advising techniques with first generation college students
Hmm.
and helping them find their sense of belonging. I did my research on one of the universities here in New Mexico. We talked about a lot about commuter students coming from out of town to college and living further out and driving to the campus to go to class, and how they lost their sense of belonging because they weren't actually involved in campus and weren't around campus. And I found that a lot of my advisors I interviewed, said that that's the biggest problem they have. They find students that they only see them maybe once a semester, and then they go to classes and they never see them again. They don't see them at events,
Hmm.
sporting events, or anything like that. They just kind of disappear and go home with their other families. And we want to figure out I want to figure out a way to make these students feel like, hey, I'm a part of this campus. How can I get involved more? How can I be able to help students become ready to know what's going on campus and know where they're going, know what's going on, know where to go for help, what to do, and all that, where they can find trio programs to help, where they can find advisors or whatever they need to get help with.
Awesome. We also at the part of your introduction was you like to read books. How did that happen for you? How does reading play a part into your life?
Mm, been reading since I was 5 years old. My mom got me a library card at 5, and I just been reading ever since. And I have a huge collection of books as well. It's another one of my collections is books.
Oh, right
I
on.
have
Yeah.
books everywhere. So yeah, And I've been
Do
doing
you?
I do a lot of reading. Now that my dissertation's done, I've got a stack that I want to get through and kind of read that I started to read and didn't never
Yeah.
finish and started to do that. I've been doing that since Christmas breaks. My dissertation was due finished in December and
Wow,
I've just been reading
congratulations.
a little bit of stuff here and there.
Yeah.
Just waiting now for the publication of the dissertation. They're still sending it back to me, finding little APA errors I need to fix and stuff like that. But
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing.
publication
So
hopefully soon.
would it be fair to say, because I recently, not recently, many, many years ago, I completed my master's. I remember feeling burnt out from so much reading that I just like stopped reading for a while and then resumed it about 3 years ago with encouragement with a friend. But it seems like you went from reading a bunch of papers and research papers to going back to just leisure reading.
Yeah, I did that right away.
Wow.
Over Christmas break, I picked up a book. I actually had Matthew Perry's memoir, and I sat down and I read that one,
How was it?
and it was good. I liked it. I mean, he explained a lot of what his life was like and what actually happened to him. I mean, I could understand what happened to him at the end there. So after reading his book,
Absolutely. Um, we're in the new year of 2024, and I know that for a lot of folks, they like to make annual traditions slash annual resolutions. Do you do that for you every time the new year happens?
uh, in the past, I haven't. This year, I want to try to get to 25 books by the end of the year. If it goes more than that, it goes more. But I just want to sit down and read stuff that doesn't have to do with school anymore. It's just for fun. That's what I want to do. Like I said, I have a huge stack that I'm getting through, and quite a few. And some of them I'm kind of reading to kind of get more information on first gen students and stuff. A
Hmm.
lot of memoirs of people that were first gen and stuff like that.
What about traveling? I know a lot of folks like to do some traveling. They commit to trying to travel for the year. Is that something on your radar?
Possibly. I want to try to. I like to get to a Boston Celtics game maybe
Are you a
before the
Celtics fan?
season's over. Yeah,
No way.
yeah.
No
Been a
way.
Celtics fan since Larry Bird.
All right, so Dr. Baca, then we have a little bit of a riff here. I'm a Lakers fan through and through, and you know the history and the rivalry between the Lakers and the Celtics.
Yeah, yeah. I've been a fan of the late Celtics since Larry Bird. And now I
Wow.
also have a Funko Pop of Jason Tatum and a few others. So I started really into them and like to make a Houston Texans game as well if I could before this year's
Houston, Texas,
over.
they're doing pretty good. They're doing pretty good.
Yeah, let's see how they play Baltimore next. Let's see how that goes and go from there on Baltimore.
Yeah, we are recording this episode in the middle of the playoff, and so I have to put you on the spot, Chris. How are you feeling about the Texans' performance?
I think that they're with CJ Stroud being the quarterback, it's the perfect quarterback they've got, and the head coach is pretty good. I think if we can beat Baltimore, I think we can make it fully the Super Bowl, hopefully, and be the first one for them. I mean, I've been a fan of theirs since 2002 when they started. So
Wow, that's amazing. Um, Can you tell me what makes New Mexico special for you? So you live in New Mexico, the land of enchantment. I used to live in New Mexico many, 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 many years ago. But what makes New Mexico special for you?
I guess for me, the people, and the sunsets, and of course the green chili. It's got to be the green chili.
You know what? I've got to super agree with you there, Dr. Baca. It is the green chili that really makes it in New Mexico. I think, and not to rag on my home state here of Colorado, my adopted home state of Colorado, but the green chili just does not compare.
I've never tried the Colorado one, but I know it's that big rivalry between it, that who's better. And I'm like, well, I've never tried it, but I still say New Mexico's is the best.
I can tell you, I've tried both. New Mexico is the best, hands down. Um, could you ever see yourself living somewhere else?
I've thought about that over the years, and I just don't feel like I would like to change. I mean, New Mexico's been my life. I've been here for 38 years now,
Hmm.
and I don't see anywhere else that'd be any different. I mean, I'd miss the green chili and I'd miss all that. I see my friends that have gone to other sides of the country, like Florida and
Hmm.
South Carolina, and they're like, "You miss the green chili, send us packages of stuff." I'd miss all that, and then I'm like, I don't want to miss all that stuff.
Yeah. Um, so we're gonna rewind the clocks back a little bit, Dr. Baca. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood? Can you describe your experience growing up in your household?
A lot of learning and a lot of preparing me for where I'm at now. My dad worked construction for most of his life and ended up hurting his back and retiring at 42.
Oh.
So he said, I don't want you to go into that, and I don't want you to suffer like I did to work and do all that.
Hmm.
My mom worked office jobs. She worked at apartment complexes, was a manager at apartment complex, and we moved around with her sometimes when she managed different apartments across the state. And she wants I want you to find something where you're going to stay somewhere and you're going to be permanent there and you're going to be able to help somebody succeed more than do what they did, travel around a lot and do a lot of work that was hard. My dad said he never wanted to see me do that hard work he did.
Mm-hmm. Um, there's this theme of exploration for you. Can you tell us a little bit about that part of your childhood where you feel like exploration was part of that theme?
I think it stemmed from the books. I mean, I got to explore
Mm.
stuff through books and got to travel to new places through books and travel in time and travel to different countries and through the book through reading. And I think that's where it's got me wanting to explore more stuff. I mean, I'd like to, like I said, I like to travel those places if I could, and if in the future, maybe travel overseas, see Spain and see stuff like that, and kind of travel and see where everything started.
Yeah. How would your family describe you?
Probably as someone that could talk a lot. I'm told that a lot, all the way back to my second grade teacher told me the same thing that I talk too much. So, but once you get me in a conversation, I could talk for hours and go on for hours. And my dad says something, hey man, just calm down and be quiet already. We need some quiet now. But once find a subject I want to talk about, I'll talk about it for hours. And my dad's like, sometimes you need to, quiet it down a little bit, quit, talking so much.
Oh, no.
But
So, can you share with the audience what is a topic that you can talk about for hours?
uh, just anything I read about. I mean, man, I've been reading a lot of books, like I said, about memoirs and stuff, telling them, hey, this guy in this book said this, and then I'm all the stuff that interests me, and I could talk for hours about first gen students. I've been reading a lot of books about that and about a lot of. I really got into the admissions scandal stuff, and I got a bunch of books on those. Started
Oh,
reading those, and I'm like, wow, and how these parents got their student kids into school by paying stuff. And
yeah.
I got into reading all that, and I was like, well, stuff like that, and it got me interested, and I could talk about that for a long time, and a lot of race theory. I do a lot of race theory books. I read a lot of those and stuff like that, and kind of keeps me going, talking to people and talking about stuff like that.
Yeah. Can you talk about your experience in elementary school? What was that like for you?
Mm, it was just basic elementary school. I mean, man, I went to school in Clovis, and I went to the same school from kindergarten all the way through sixth grade, and moved on to middle school from there, and
Hmm.
had like some great teachers. I mean, I had my kindergarten teacher was Mrs. Reagan was my kindergarten teacher, and then she was my sixth grade teacher at the same after that the same thing. So she kind of just she put us into school and sent us off to junior high at the same time.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
still have some good contacts with some great teachers I had in elementary school. I see them all the time around town and up in Clovis. Sometimes I meet up with them and I talk with them still, and it was a good experience. I had some good mentors back then in elementary school.
That's awesome. Is school something that you liked? Did you have a favorite subject?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the English. English classes were a lot good, and I did
Hmm.
junior high. I did a lot of yearbook and a lot of newspaper stuff. And in high school, I did the same thing, yearbook and stuff like that, and newspaper.
Hmm.
It's just something about reading, and writing papers and stuff like that. I was into that really. I was really into that, and it kind of extended on a little bit further into when I went to college. I actually did some English classes. I actually minored in English with my religious studies degree and for bachelor's, and I
Oh,
had some great
wow.
English professors there here at Eastern that have taught me a lot and got me thinking about culture and different things.
Did your family place a lot of importance on education?
For the most part, yeah. Like I said, my dad didn't want me to work as hard as he did in construction and and have to suffer in the elements like he did. I mean, he used to work in the temperatures like we have right now, in the 14 degrees. He was out there working, building houses, and he said he didn't want me to have to do that, have to deal with all that, and be in a way in a time where I'm injured like he was at 42 years old and can't really do much.
Mm. Hmm. What about for your mom? What type of role or how did she encourage your education?
She's the one that pushed us to read a lot. Me and my sister, she had us reading a lot, had us going to the library all the time, and we'd go weekly to the library and My sister reads all the time as well, and we do a lot of reading, so as well as pushing us to read and get better at it.
I think Dr. Baca, if I may just for a moment, I think for a lot of people that never lived in New Mexico, have never experienced the land of enchantment, what they don't realize is that a lot of small towns exist in the state of New Mexico. We have the two big cities like Albuquerque, we have Las Cruces, but there's various small towns in between that. A lot of the work is agriculture, right?
Yeah, a
And
lot of the area where we're at now, Clovis, Portales, a lot of dairies, a lot of stuff like that around the area. Yeah.
so it just sounds like your parents really wanted to steer you in a direction of a job that wasn't and not to, because I think agriculture work is really already 100% difficult. I know
Uh-huh.
for a fact. But for you, the direction in your career, were they trying to push you in a certain direction of a certain career path?
I guess they wanted to push me where I wanted to go. I always wanted to go into teaching. I
Oh,
always thought,
teaching.
I'd be a
All right.
teacher. Yeah. I always thought I'd be a teacher, and I did that for a while. I did that here at Portales High School. I worked with special needs students at the high school as a paraprofessional.
Hmm.
And then from there, I went and taught at the private Christian school in Clovis for a couple of years. I taught Bible, English, coached basketball, stuff like that, track, PE classes I taught, and I got my teaching done. And I said, well, when I taught at the Christian school, I said, these students aren't students that need my help. I mean, it's a private school, they pay to go there.
Hmm.
And I want to go out there and help students that maybe don't have that chance those students have at the Christian school, at the private school. And that's when I decided to leave and go the path I'm on now. Just kind of help
Oh,
the ones that are first gen and don't
absolutely.
know how to navigate college, stuff like that.
So, kind of coming back to after your experience in elementary school, what did middle school look like for you?
Middle school was when I went into playing football.
Okay, you
I
played
did
football.
that. Yeah, I did that for a little while. Did that for probably my seventh, eighth grade year, ninth grade year. I got into yearbook and newspaper stuff, so I got away from football. Um, I guess it stemmed from my seventh grade year. I practiced and got tackled and broke my wrist right away. So
Oh,
yeah, so I was like, yeah, do I want to continue this? I did it for two more for a seventh grade year and eighth grade year. I did that, and then kind of pulled away from it. And then in high school, we moved down to southeastern New Mexico, and the school that I went to for high school, they were a six-man football school. So I'm like, nah, that's more work than the regular football is.
okay. Um, and then you also played basketball as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I did play basketball a lot in middle school, and then high school, I went out and played for a little bit my senior year, but I was like, I went half a season, and I said, no, I'm going to sit out the rest of the season, and then spent a lot of time with my friends in the small school I went to high school at. We had a behind the school. It was like a basketball goals there.
Hmm.
We'd just go out there on after school and on weekends and just shoot hoops all weekend and then after school and got a good three point shot after playing every day like that, But when I started coaching at the high school, I lost. I realized I lost it. I haven't played so long that I lost how that shot I had. I could always just shoot it and make it, but when I was coaching, I said, I think I can do it. I think I can do it. No, and the students would laugh because I'd miss it. So,
Oh no.
but
Um, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Are you seeking guidance to enhance your TRIO project's effectiveness and success? Look no further. NOSOTROS Education Center, NEC, is here to empower your TRIO project with expert consulting services. NEC's mission is to promote the effectiveness and impact of TRIO programs. Since 2003, NEC has specialized in providing professional development and in-service staff trainings, allowable cost services, for TRIO projects across the country. The team at NEC, with over 60 years of combined TRIO experience, offers customized workshops and seminars for project staff, compliance assessments, external evaluations, working on and submitting APRs, database customization and training, development of policies and procedures manuals, and project implementation or reorganization services. Additionally, NEC has secured over $774 million in federal funding with a 92% success rate through their live and on-demand proposal workshops, assistance with data collection and review, detailed technical reviews, and comprehensive proposal development services.
Join the hundreds of colleges, agencies, and TRIO projects across the country who benefited from NEC's expertise. Nosotros Education Center, your partner in TRIO's project success. Visit their website at nosotros.edu.org. Again, that's nosotrosedu.org.
And now back to the podcast. How did your parents, so now that you've had this experience in middle school and in elementary as well, how did your parents prepare you for high school?
Well, we were living in Artesia at the time when I was going to high school. I was running an apartment complex up there. And what they did is Artesia High School, if you know that school, is pretty big and the
Mm-hmm.
buildings are pretty separate. Well, we decided to get me prepared better for high school and get into it better and get a better education out of it. I went up a little bit north of Artesia to Lake Arthur, to little rural high school there,
Mm-hmm.
where it was a small school, small classrooms, small classes, and it was kind of less students. I graduated with 12 people. So I was able to get more friendships out of it and kind of get more one-on-one from the teachers and learn a little bit more from the teachers that way.
Okay. And did any of what you participated in prior, did you get to participate in any extracurricular activities while in high school?
Just the yearbook and newspaper. Did that for all 4 years of high school,
Wow. Okay.
all the way
Did
to the
it,
point where I was editor of both at the end of my senior year. So
okay. Did any of your interests transfer over to high school, or did you lose interest in any of the things that you had prior?
mm, I really just a football. I didn't really get into football. Like I said, we were a six-man school, and being a six-man school meant the football field was only 80 yards. It was a lot more running and a lot more. It was different. It was, 6 men on the field at a time. It was different. I'm like, I'm not used to this. I'm used to playing regular football. And I decided it wasn't for me and I got off that. But I learned a lot about photography over those years doing yearbook.
How did that come about for you?
Uh, just to be able to take pictures of some football games and all that stuff. Handed me the camera one day, said, "Hey, we have a football game this weekend. Go take pictures of it." And I got into that and I got really good into that. And then, like I said, when I went to work at the Christian school, I taught yearbook for a year and did all that photography work for them as well, and taught the students how to do photography work. So it's something I want to get back into, but I haven't really gotten into it again.
Okay. Um, let's talk about those experiences in high school. Can you talk about your time in high school? What did you get out of it, and what did you learn about yourself?
I got to be friends with my fellow classmates. I mean, graduating with 12 people, I got to know everybody, all my classmates more personal level. I mean, we were always in classes together and we were just always together. I mean, 12, it was 11 of us, 12 of us with me and 11 students. I mean, I got to learn a lot about them. And then a lot of the younger ones, like in ninth grade, eighth grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade, we all got along really well. We were a small school and we got to learn from each other and we got to hang out with each other. And it was good that way. And then the teachers were great. I mean, we had teachers that drove from Roswell every day,
Hmm.
teach there in Lake
Hmm.
Arthur, and they taught us, a whole lot. I mean, they were willing to be there, and it made us want to be there because they were there, because they were willing to be there. We were willing to be there.
That must have been a really unique experience having a small class or graduating with a small class. Uh, and as you said earlier, it sounds like you all were a very tight-knit group.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still friends with some of them now. I still talk to some on through Facebook and stuff like that. I still talk friends with some of them, and we talk a little bit sometimes. And having gone to see down there to see them quite a bit because when I usually go up to Roswell for work, it's usually during the week, so I don't get a chance to spend any time that way very often.
All right, right on. So around this time, many high schoolers think about college. Was college on your mind? Was college calling out to you, and were you thinking about it?
Yeah, I was thinking about I've always thought of psychology to be my major. I always wanted to do that, but I ended up not doing that when I came to Eastern. I thought about going to University of Rochester, New York for a
Oh,
degree in
wow.
psychology.
Yeah.
I had gotten a pre early enrollment from them, an early acceptance from them through with the Eastman Kodak Corporation for some of my photos I did. And they're like, well, and I thought about it. I said, do I want to move that far though from New Mexico to New York? And
Hmm.
would I be able to sustain myself in New York, being that far away by myself and not having family around or being that far away. And I think now that I think about it, I think it would have been a lot more difficult to be get where I'm at now if I would have gone that far out.
I think for a lot of first generation students, it's hard to fathom being that far out from family or being far away from family. What was that something that weighed on your decision of what college you wanted to attend?
Yeah, I think so. I think if I went any further, I don't know if I would have finished my degree. I mean, coming to Eastern, my mom decided to retire from her job. She moved to Port Tallis with me, and
Hmm.
both my parents and my sister, and they were here. So if I couldn't had a semester where I didn't want to be a work study on campus or something,
Hmm.
they were here to support me to stay home and kind of focus on my studies if I felt, I was behind, especially when it came to my math classes. Math is my worst subject. So I tried to put all those off towards the end, my math classes, and it kind of snowballed on me when I had to do a bunch of math classes at once, and it made it more difficult. And having them here, I was able not to say, "Hey, I'm not going to work this semester, so I can focus on this class and get it done and pass it and get it over with." So
Hmm. So I know, spoiler alert, you attended Eastern New Mexico University, but what colleges made your list?
just probably University of Rochester, and that was about it. Maybe Gonzaga because I was into the basketball team, but again, another one that was far away, Seattle area,
Right,
and I'm
right,
like,
right.
no, too far.
Do you have and I think earlier you said that you had an idea that maybe teaching was in your realm. Were other, um, well, I'll ask this first, and then I'll lead into the next question. So, what was your dream school? What was the school that you really wanted to attend?
It would have probably been Gonzaga because of the basketball team, but Eastern ended up being the dream school. I guess that's where I ended up at.
And earlier in the podcast, you had alluded to the idea of teaching, of something that you might want to do as a career. Did that evolve as you went through middle school, as you went through high school?
Yeah, I even started as a major in bilingual ed here at Eastern, and then after a while, I took quite a few classes, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I did some observation work for some of the classes, and then I went to take some of the licensure tests, and I was always off by 1 point to pass the pre-licensure test. I
Hmm.
needed like a 30 to pass it to move on, and I took it 3 times and got a 29 each time. So
Oh,
I was like 1 point off every time. And I'm like, well,
dang.
this is getting old, taking it over and over again, and getting the same score. So I said,
Yeah.
no, I'm going to switch. So I switched to religious studies and did the religion with a minor in English and got out to get into a master's program.
So, in that process of evolving in your educational journey, um, can you talk about the moment that uh, it was graduation was looming, your senior year? You're looking at the graduation. What did graduating from high school mean to you and to your family?
For me, it meant to finally get to move on and try something new and try a different school, and be with more people around. Being around 12 people, yeah, was great. Like I said, I got to know everybody well, but you knew everybody so well that nothing ever changed. Everything was the same. It would kind of like meld it together in the end. So I
Hmm.
was like looking forward to moving on to something and trying to figure out what career I was going to go into.
Hmm. Um, so again, spoiler alert, Eastern New Mexico University was the school that you decided to attend. What did you do to prepare for college? And what were the things that you were taking to really make sure that your first semester was successful?
I guess my parents moving down here with me, we moved down together down here and kind of gave me a chance to live. I didn't live on campus. I lived off campus. I was able to just drive back and forth to campus, and it made it a little bit easier having family around than some of my other students that I went to school with, the other uh, other students that were there with me that didn't have their parents close by.
Hmm.
My parents were here, and if we needed something, they were there. And if somebody I became friends with needed something, my parents were there as well for them. Whatever we needed, we got help.
Absolutely. Can you talk to me about your college experience? What was that like, your first semester at Eastern?
First semester at Eastern, it felt like an extension of high school, really, for me.
Hmm.
Because I go to the campus and I go to classes. I have my classes all set back to back with my schedule, so it made it where it felt like I was an extension of high school and just go out walking around campus from class to class. I mean, I had some great professors over the years here at Eastern, and still friends with quite a few of them. that I talk to all the time.
Right on. Um, and I guess I'm going to ask this. It's kind of a follow-up question to that question. Is what were some of the differences that you noticed immediately from high school to college? What were some of the things that you noticed? Like, whoa, they do this differently here?
I guess the way the assignments were done, the way they were turned in, the way they were due. This is when I started here at college at Eastern. Blackboard was the big deal. Turning your assignments to Blackboard and all that. That was a different thing for me. Having to, submit them through the Blackboard or type them up a lot. A lot of the stuff in high school, we did a lot of handwritten stuff because our high school was a small rural school. We didn't really have many computer-wise stuff to get stuff typed up and stuff. A lot of it was handwritten. And when we did type it up, it was like for newspaper stuff, and we had very few computers in the computer lab there, and we did it all there and made sure we got it all done in one class session. Technology was probably the biggest difference.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about that. Like, I know for me, personal experience, once I entered into college, I saw the accessibility of technology and kind of like you light years beyond of what my high school was had offered.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that, and how did you adjust to all that?
Well, we've always had a computer at home, so I knew how to use a computer, I knew how to do all that. Um, but I was in our area there, Lake Arthur, our teacher area, we used to use a lot of dial-up internet at that time period. So there wasn't none of this high-speed internet at the time. So coming here to the campus, the campus had different internet, and it was a little bit faster and all that. And it was like, wow, I didn't know this existed. And it was just something else that made a difference, seeing the difference in technology, difference in the internet, difference in the use of how we did everything.
Absolutely. So, you entered Eastern New Mexico University with the idea of starting off in bilingual education. Um, did you stay with that degree?
No, I ended up in religious studies with a minor in English.
So, yeah, talk to us a little bit about that evolution and that change. Why did you make that change, and how did that happen for you?
Well, the English part came from when I did the bilingual ed. I got After a while, I did bilingual ed for a little while, and I switched over to language arts, teach language arts to elementary students. And I'm like, okay, let's try this. Well, then when I moved on, my advisor said, well, you have so many English classes already taken. Let's go ahead and count these and give you a minor in English.
Hmm.
And I had taken a few religious courses just for fun because I had known a lot of the professors that taught them. Like one was taught by our Catholic priest where I went to church at, so I knew him. So I took a class of Old Testament with him, and I said, well, I'm learning this stuff, and I had taken quite a few of them just as electives. And I said, I'm going to go ahead and switch to that and continue to do it. And got to learn from a bunch of different ministers. I like the way they did it because it wasn't all taught by one denomination. I mean, I took a class with the Baptist minister, with the Methodist minister, with the Lutheran minister, Presbyterian minister. I learned different perspectives of religion as I went. And it kind of worked out for me when I taught Bible at the Christian school. I was able to use what I learned from the different perspectives because all the students had different perspectives that I had there. They were all different, denominations of religion. Like I was able to use what I learned to help them move forward in their studies.
Wow. So, as you became involved in college, you're working your way through your major and your program, changing your major and your program. And Chris, if we could just pause here for a second, a lot of students feel that insecurity of changing their major or feeling guilty of change. How did you process that for yourself when you changed your major? And yeah, like, well, what encouraged you to finally just make the leap to change it?
Well, it came easy for me because the classes I took were stuff I liked. I mean, I was into the religious stuff and into the English, so reading and stuff. So it was pretty easy for me to transition. I was able to transition into it, and like I said, I've taken classes before in that area, so it wasn't so difficult to transition as I thought it was. What people think it would be.
And this is a transition to the next question. What stands out as your favorite memory in at Eastern New Mexico University? What did you like the most?
Probably the some of the concerts. I mean, they're in that time frame of 2004 to 2009 and 10. They had some really great concerts here at Eastern. I mean, from Willie Nelson to Bucky Covington, all those years there. I mean, I got to see some really good concerts. I mean, some really good Texas artists, and that made it pretty made it fun. I mean, I was able to see different bands and bands that I never, seen before, and I wanted to see live. I got to see a lot of live bands. I mean, I saw the Plain White Tees here at Eastern before they even made it famous. I
Oh,
mean,
that's right. They did come to Eastern
yeah.
before they broke out, didn't they?
So that was one of the big shows I went to go see. I'm like, well, this is great.
Absolutely. I know that the college experience varies from people to people. For you, involvement in college, you had a lot going on, but can you talk to us a little bit about the connections you made there?
A lot of the connections I've made were through the classes I took. I mean, I got to learn from a lot of professors, and a lot of professors became mentors to me that I still talk to all the time. I had some that I talked to about my dissertation stuff. How long should this be, or how long should that be? And they were willing to answer my questions. I meet with them and they'd answer my questions for me. So they really helped me out through my master's degree and through my doctorate, and having them there locally where I can just go talk to them and say, hey, I need help with this or I need help with that. And they'd help me figure it out.
If someone were to ask you about Eastern New Mexico University and they asked you, what did you really like about it? What would you say?
The people and the small class sizes. I mean, the classes didn't get over maybe 25, 30 students sometimes. I think the biggest class I had that had 100 people in it was a intro to rock and roll, where we talked about rock and roll class. It was like a music course that was required. That one was the biggest class I had with 100 people in it.
Mhm.
Other than that, my classes had 25, 30 students in it. So we kind of got to know everybody and became friends with a lot of students throughout the years there.
So you ultimately decided to study religion and religious studies, minor in English. I wanted to ask you specifically about the major and the program. What was fascinating to you about this major?
I guess again, it would be talking about the learning from different perspectives and different denominations. Like I said earlier, I mean, there was people, the Baptist ministers, the Methodist ministers I got to be friends with and learn the different perspectives and what they thought,
Mhm.
how what it was. Being a cradle Catholic since I was born, I only knew the Catholic perspective of it, and I got to learn what other people's perspectives were and kind of learn to respect other people's perspective. No matter what they are, we're all the same. We all believe the same thing in the end.
Certainly. Subconsciously, were you thinking about a career as you did these academic moves, like changing your major and focusing on the connections that you were making? Were you at all like thinking about what your career might look like?
Well, at that point, when I did the minor in English and the religious studies, I thought about going into law school. I thought of
Oh,
we thought
interesting.
of moving to San Antonio so I can go to St. Mary's Law School.
Uh-huh.
And I thought about even going into youth ministry. I was accepted to University of the Incarnate Word in San Antonio to do youth ministry, but issues happened that I didn't get a chance to move down there. So I just kind of stayed here, because it was close. It was easier to stay here. The cost to move from Portales to San Antonio was a little bit more than we expected, and the housing rent wise was more expensive than we thought it would be. And we said, well, I'll just find something. And I stayed here, and I stayed here locally and got into my program at University of the Rockies then.
Oh, wow. Okay. So can you talk a little about that process? Because for a lot of students that are still either in college or thinking about going into college, there's this idea that you that the associates, the bachelors, the masters, and then doctorate that you have to follow these certain steps. What was that process like for you, and how did you figure out like what steps you wanted to take?
Took a lot of researching the schools and stuff. Like I said, I finished here at Eastern, and then I started looking around online to see where I can go to do a master's degree online. I did my master's degree 100% online.
Oh, wow.
University of the Rockies in Colorado did really well with them. Doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it got absorbed by Ashford, and then Ashford got absorbed by University of Arizona Global Campus,
Oh,
or
wow.
University of Arizona.
Mhm.
So it all just kind of just absorbed together. My master's degree hanging on the wall right here says University of the Rockies on it, but it's got all absorbed by University of Arizona at the end. Finally, like a couple of years ago, it got absorbed by University of Arizona.
So what happens in those situations? The University of the Rockies, like, even though it doesn't exist anymore, the degree still stands, right?
Yeah, the degree still stands. They told me it still stands, and my transcripts will say University of the Rockies on it, but on
Uh-huh.
the bottom it's provided by University of Arizona on the bottom of the transcript. They have all
Oh,
my
that's
records
interesting.
there.
Can you talk to us about the moment you graduated from college? What was that moment like for you and your family that you graduated from Eastern New Mexico University?
For me, it's like I finally did it. I mean, it took me a couple of years extra more than I thought it was. I mean, I graduated in 2004, and I thought I'll be out by 2008. I didn't finish in 2010 at Eastern. And then from there, I'm like, what do I want to do next? Do I want to go to school right away? Do I want to wait a couple of years to get my master's?
Mhm.
What do I do? I did kind of wait. I did my master's in 2013, so I did wait, a couple of years, and I did some work with different, the schools, local schools, and stuff like that between there, and then I did some editing work for people, for different groups and stuff like that for a little while, and then I said, no, I need to do something else. I need to get my master's degree, and that's when I started looking around again.
Awesome. Um, were you hoping to still land somewhere in the field of education when you graduated?
Yeah, that's what I thought, and I ended up, like I said, at Portales High School for a year. I did a paraprofessional job with the special ed department, and I was at the high school with the extreme special. These are the kids with Down syndrome, the kids in wheelchairs. So I got
Mm-hmm.
to learn how to work with them, and I did good for a year with that. But then it just became hard because some of the aspects of the job were more difficult than I thought they would be. I mean, we had students that were in wheelchairs that we had to change twice a day, and that became a hard aspect. I mean, changing a 15-year-old student twice a day became a hard aspect for me. It was something I can't do this. I said, so it became a little difficult, and I left that.
Yeah. Let's talk about your current job. How did you learn about this position, this trio position, and can you tell the audience what do you do?
I was working for Clovis Christian School at the time, and I was looking around for something else. Like I said, I wanted to help more students, and I saw this on the Eastern Roswell page. It was sitting there for a couple weeks on there that they were hiring, and I'm like, "Oh, do I want to do this? Do I want to look into this? Do I want to do this?"
Hmm.
And I said, "Okay, I'm going to send my application in and see what happens." And they called me from Roswell. Mona called me, that was my director at the time, and so this is what it has to do and all that. And then practically, I got the job within a couple of days, and they told me because they were ready for me, somebody to do this to cover this side of the state. In the past, they've had people that done it. It didn't really cover a whole lot and didn't get the program to where it's at, where they needed it to be to get the numbers they needed it to be.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So you decided this is the program I wanted to apply for. Did a lot of the, I guess, requirements for you, like what you really wanted to get out of the program, did it meet your check boxes or yeah, like well, talk to us a little bit about like what urged you to finally apply?
Being able to help students, really, I've helped see people move on from. We help a lot of students that are in GED programs and stuff like that move on into college life and all that stuff, and get their GED. I mean, I see students that come in to me and say, "Hey, I need help getting my GED set up." I work with the programs locally and get them set up in their GED program. And then when they're finished, say, hey, help me get into college now. How do I do the financial aid process? How do I do the FAFSA? How do I do all this, the application wise? And I help them get in. I've seen students in the 2 years, going to be 2 years in July that I've been there. I've helped countless students. I don't come to me and say, hey, I want to go to college, and I've gotten them into college. I mean, whatever college they want to go to is their choice what college they want to go to. I've
Hmm.
got some here into Eastern, some into Clovis Community College,
Hmm.
some into the Roswell campus of Eastern, and help them get in there and figure out what they want to do and get them going.
That's awesome. Um, I'm gonna ask you, what is the thing that you really enjoy, not only about the educational opportunity centers, but also just the work that you do when you outreach to folks? What do you enjoy most about that?
Getting to see students actually see, hey, I can do that. I can move on to college. And I go to Clovis Community College, and I meet with the GED students like every time they have the GED class orientations, and I talk to them and say, hey, this is what you can do. We can get you into college after you finish this and get you going and get you figure out where you can be a career. And I had a student ask me once, if I go into nursing, I can just get a 2 year degree in that? I said, no, you can go all the way to a doctorate in nursing and make, a good, substantial amount of money being a doctorate in nursing if you wanted to. And like, I didn't know that was possible to go that far. They thought,
Yeah.
2 years of a nursing degree, that's all they needed. I said, no, you can go as far as you want with a nursing degree. You can get a doctorate in nursing. And
Hmm.
like, I didn't know it was possible. There were also seeing them
Wow.
see, that little light bulb come up and say, hey, I could do that. With your help, I could get that degree and I can move on.
So for the audience that may not know, can you tell us about what is the Educational Opportunity Center for TRIO and what does the program help with?
We provide eligible adults to seek to enter college or continue to post-secondary education. We are information about educational career opportunities. We do a lot of financial aid, admissions, get students set up with GED programs. ESL programs they need to. I haven't had any students come for ESL with me a lot. A lot. I do a lot, like I said, a lot of the FAFSA stuff's what I do. Now with the FAFSA changes, I've got a lot of students come in and say, "Hey, how do I do this? Because I don't understand this new part now that they've changed on it."
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we do a lot of. We do a lot of career counseling. We do some of that stuff. If somebody comes and say, "Hey, I don't know what I want to major in. I've been in college here for a year or two, and I don't know what I want to do." We sit down and go over different books and different stuff and kind of see what the college has to offer. If this is what we have to offer, what do you think of this major or that major? And we go over it and get them in transitioned into that.
Wow. So it sounds like EOC really offers a lot of variety of services.
Yeah, and we cover anybody that's 19 and up. I think my oldest student I have is 74. I think this lady came in, asked for help to
Wow.
get into an art degree. She wanted to go back into an art degree after her husband had passed away. She started one, never finished it. So I helped her get in and she's gone and she started it up again to get it done.
That is amazing. I think that TRIO programs, especially programs that help students that are looking to return to college or finding ways to get into college, um, super beneficial. Um, can you tell me, in your experience with TRIO EOC, um, the need in your community, do you see it like on a daily basis?
I get quite a few people that call. My flyers all over Portales, all over Clovis. And they was like, "Hey, I saw your flyer in the library. Can you help me get my GED and get set up in the GED program?"
That's
Or I
awesome.
have a student last week come in and say, "Hey, I saw your flyer over there. Can you help me figure out? I think I went to school at one point and I started partying and I couldn't finish my degree, so I got out. And I think I may owe them, owe something to the government or something like that. Can we look into that and figure it out? How to get back in and all that?" And we helped them look into it and got them. I'm trying to get them started again. How we can get it fixed and get them going again. And that's what I do on a daily basis. I mean, there's some days when I have no students come in,
Hmm.
and then there's days where I get there at 8, and by 5 o'clock, I've had 15 people come in or call,
Wow.
or
Wow.
I call for set up appointments or ask questions or stuff like that. I think this year my fiscal year started in August, and as of Friday, I had 101 students so far.
Wow.
I've
Wow.
helped, and that covers from Tucumcari down to Clovis down to Lovington. I don't have much in Tucumcari lately, but from Clovis, Portales, Lovington. I go to Lovington High School. Lovington High School is not serviced by anybody, by any other TRIO program.
Hmm.
So we're the only program. We go into the high school and we help all seniors get their applications into college and get their FAFSAs done.
Amazing. Did you have any mentors that helped you through your college journey?
I guess I'd go with here at Eastern when the Trio SSS program that was here. I got to know Roderick Chambers a lot, really well.
You know Roderick?
I've known Roderick for years. Yeah, I've known
Oh
Roderick
my
for a long
gosh.
time.
We have an overlapping friend.
Yeah, I've known Roderick for probably since my freshman year. I took a psychology class and he was in the class with me, so I got to know him pretty well over the years.
That's
I still talk to him
awesome.
every once in a while. Yeah,
Do you still keep
so
in touch?
yeah, I still keep in touch through Twitter and through Facebook and through Instagram. Yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't know if you know he's up in Texas now, and he's doing
yeah,
amazing work out there.
yeah. I heard some of his music last week on Spotify, so I'm like, wow.
Absolutely. He's doing great things. And
Yeah.
so a quick shout out to Rod. Rod, if you're hearing this episode, I know he sometimes keeps up with it. Just want to give you a quick shout out. Chris, I don't know if you want to say anything out to Rod.
It's just this that he's the one that has encouraged me to get where I'm at, to where I'm at now. Without his encouragement, I don't know where I would have ended up.
Absolutely. What advice do you have for trio students in the pre-college, college, or thinking about returning to college process?
Seek out help. I mean, if you're confused about something and don't understand what a college is asking for or what they're doing, what they need for you to go, come to one of the trio programs and ask for help. I mean, that's what we're there for. I mean, if they can't answer the question, I've had Upward Bound here at Eastern and Talent Search say, "Hey, I can't answer this question. Can you answer this question for them?" And I'm more than happy to answer questions, and I do what I can. I mean, we share students back and forth. If there's a student in high school, if some parent calls me and say, "Hey, my son needs help with this or this," and I said, "Let's get you in touch with Talent Search. We'll get you in touch with Upward Bound and see if they can help you." And then they send me any parents they have and say, "Hey, I want to go back to school now that my child's getting to finish with high school. I want to go back and try to get it done." They send them to me, and we kind of just work together, and that's what we need to be able to do: work together to help each other out.
I like that. Very good response. If you had all trio professionals in one room, what would you say to them?
then we need to work harder to work together. I mean, we're not trying to steal each other's students or anything like that. We're trying to work together. I want to be able to work together with everybody and kind of say, hey, if you have somebody who needs my help, I have somebody who needs your help. Let me send them to you, send them to me, back and forth. And sometimes it feels like, they're like, hey, you're trying to take our students away, some other programs. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just trying to help where we overlap. Sometimes we overlap, sometimes you miss somebody or somebody falls through the cracks in your program and they're like, well, I need help. I got to go somewhere.
Absolutely. What is something that you are currently reading, watching, either TV, movies, or otherwise, or doing for entertainment?
Reading, I'm doing 2 books right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading been a lot of memoir quick kick lately, history kick. I just started Killers of the Flower Moon.
Mm-hmm.
It's a movie. It's a movie. It's out. I'm waiting for
Oh,
that
it was
one to
adapted.
watch
That's
the
right.
movie.
Uh-huh.
So I want to watch that one. And then a friend of mine that works at West Texas A&M, who's a professor out there, he just told me about this book. It's called First Gen, a memoir. It's
Mm-hmm.
by Alejandra Campoverde, and
Oh.
she talks about her experience as a first gen student. So, and from first gen to I don't remember what she did. She worked for the Obama administration. She's a former White House aide for the Obama administration. So, and I kind of been reading that, kind of see what she's been up to in that. And then a couple months ago, I finished Finding Me by Viola Davis. And that book was interesting to me because she mentions trio a lot in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So how it helped her get to where she's at today. So I'm like, this is a great book to have on my shelf. So
That's awesome. I love that.
I've been doing a lot of reading to that.
What about television or even streaming? Anything that you want to recommend to the audience?
Reservation Dogs on Hulu. I love that series, the Native American series. I'm so mad that it ended. Me and my dad were so mad that it ended.
Oh, was it just canceled?
They at the end of the season 2, they decided they were done and they didn't continue it. And I'm like, I want to know what happens to these people. I get really into it.
Absolutely.
And then I've been on a PBS masterpiece kick here lately.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been watching like Hotel Porfino, and then I've watched All Creatures Great and Small. Me and my dad really got into watching those, so we sit there and watch those every Sunday night and watch different ones on PBS masterpiece.
I think PBS is super underrated, and people often forget. We get caught up in the HBOs, we get caught up with all these other streaming services, but we forget public broadcast service or the public broadcast system is there, and they make quality episodes.
Yeah, we donate every year here to the K&W here at Eastern to get the passport so we can watch. If we miss something, we can watch it on the passport.
That's awesome.
On the app. So we got really into that.
Dr. Baca, what is one word you would use to describe yourself?
Motivated.
Motivated. I like it. So, Dr. Chris Baca, again, this was such a great conversation to get to know you. We hope to have you on again. This was really fun to do with you.
It was really interesting. I mean, it was my first podcast to actually come out and talk, so pretty interesting. And I would love to come back again.
Absolutely. We got to do a roundtable or something with you.
Something in the future, yeah.
Wonderful.
Find out where I end up. You never know where I end up after this program. You never know.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Baca, we have a tradition on the Let's Talk Trio podcast where we have the guests sign off at the end of the episode. We are at the end of the episode, so would you care to do the honors for us?
Okay. Hi, this is Dr. Christopher Baca, and I'm a graduate of Eastern New Mexico University, the University of Rockies, and the University of Arizona Global Campus. Trio works.
That was our guest, Dr. Christopher Baca, with the Eastern New Mexico University-Roswell Trio Educational Opportunity Center. Dr. Baca, thank you so much for being on the podcast and for sharing your Trio story. Remember, if you would like to be on the Let's Talk Trio podcast or know a staff, advocate, participant, or alumni, send us an email at letstalktrio@gmail.com. That email again is letstalktrio@gmail.com. Once again, a huge thanks to our sponsors, Angelica Villalpando, Dr. Jamie Motley, Dr. Ryan Barone, Dr. Jeff Naputi, Angelica Valdez, Rosario Riley, Felicia Rivera, TrioJoblist.com, Jaded Electronics, Nosotros Education Center, Cambridge Educational Services, CE Tours, and Student Access. Thank you all so much for your continued support of this podcast. You too can be a sponsor of the podcast in one of three ways. Become a monthly patron on Patreon. Our base level starts at $1 a month. Become a corporate sponsor by placing an ad on the podcast. Email us for details. Become a supporter with a one-time donation to the podcast PayPal account. Our business handle is @Let'sTalkTrio. I'd like to take a moment to thank our honorary members of the Let's Talk Trio podcast, Roderick Chambers, Tony Ho, Scott Kendall, and Susan Cramp. The Let's Talk Trio podcast team is John Russell, audio engineer, music producer and composer, and post-production editor. Amelia Castañeda, script supervisor, marketing manager, social media manager, and producer. Juan Rivas, executive producer and host. This episode was recorded Monday, January 15th, 2024. We are in an election year. I strongly urge our listeners to exercise their right to vote. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode.